Once upon a time, nestled in a quiet village, surrounded by ancient, whispering woods, lived a young man named Leo. Leo wasn't a hero, a prince, or a magician. He was a simple apprentice to the village stonemason, a man known for his gentle nature and his almost invisible presence. Leo was so quiet that people often forgot he was in the room. He spoke in a voice barely above a whisper, his shoulders perpetually slumped, as if carrying an unseen weight, and his eyes were always fixed on the ground, studying the patterns of dust and stone rather than the faces of those around him. The reason for Leo's timidity was a constant, gnawing voice in his head, a voice that sounded suspiciously like his own. But it was the voice of doubt. "Your work is clumsy," it would whisper as he tried to chisel a straight line. "They are all laughing at you." It would sneer when he overheard a shared joke he wasn't a part of. "You are not good enough," it would declare, a final, crushing verdict that echoed in the silence of his small room at night. This internal monologue was his constant companion, poisoning every action, every thought, every potential for joy. He believed this voice was the truth, a reflection of his own inherent inadequacy. His master, an old, wise man named Elara, observed Leo with a heavy heart. She saw not the clumsy apprentice the boy believed himself to be, but a young man with a steady hand, a keen eye for detail, and a heart full of untapped potential. She saw the delicate carvings he would secretly practice on discarded stone fragments, the intricate floral patterns and soaring birds that no one else ever got to see. She knew the only thing holding Leo back was the heavy, invisible cage he had built around himself. One crisp autumn morning, as golden leaves danced in the air, Elara approached Leo. She didn't scold him for a misplaced chisel or a rough edge. Instead, she handed him a small, smooth, dark stone, no bigger than his palm. It was an ordinary-looking river stone, worn smooth by years of water rushing over it. "Leo," she said, her voice warm and kind, "I have a special task for you. I want you to go to the market every day for the next month. Your only job is to sell this stone, but there is one condition. You must sell it for no less than 100 gold coins." Leo stared at her, utterly bewildered. 100 gold coins for a plain, worthless rock. It was an impossible, absurd task. 100 gold coins could buy the finest horse in the region, a small cottage, or a lifetime's supply of flour. "Master Elara," he stammered, his voice trembling. "But it's just a rock. It's worthless. Who would pay such a price?" The familiar voice of doubt screamed in his ears. "She's mocking you. This is a fool's errand to prove how useless you are." Elara simply smiled, a gentle, knowing expression on her face. "That is for you to discover," she said softly. "Do not question the task. Just do as I ask. Go to the market and do not return until you have sold this stone for 100 gold coins." With that, she turned and went back to her work, leaving Leo standing alone, the cool, smooth stone feeling impossibly heavy in his hand. The first day, Leo went to the market, feeling like a condemned man walking to the gallows. He found a small, forgotten corner, far from the bustling main stalls, and sat down on a wooden crate. He didn't even have the courage to display the stone properly. He just held it in his lap, head bowed, his face burning with shame. People passed by, their eyes gliding over him without a second glance. The few who did notice him just saw a miserable boy huddled in a corner. The voice of doubt had a field day. "See, they think you're a fool. They know your stone is worthless. You are worthless." Leo didn't say a word to anyone. At the end of the day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, he walked home, defeated, the stone still clutched in his sweaty palm. This pattern continued for a week. Every day, Leo would go to the market, sit in his corner, and drown in his own sea of self-doubt. He felt foolish, humiliated, and utterly alone. He considered giving up, telling Elara he had failed, but the thought of facing her disappointment was somehow even more terrifying than the daily humiliation at the market. So, he persisted, driven by a sliver of fear and obedience. On the 8th day, something shifted. As he sat there, miserable as ever, a wealthy merchant, adorned in silks and jewels, happened to glance his way. The merchant, intrigued by the boy's dejected posture, stopped. "What are you selling, boy?" he asked, his voice booming with authority. Leo flinched. He couldn't even look up. Mumbling into his chest, he whispered, "A stone." "Sir?" "A stone." The merchant laughed. "Let me see it." Trembling, Leo held out the stone. The merchant took it, examined it for a moment, and tossed it back into Leo's lap. "It's just a common river rock. I'll give you a copper coin for it. For your trouble." Leo's heart hammered against his ribs. This was his chance to be done with this nightmare. A copper coin was infinitely more than the stone was worth. But Elara's words echoed in his mind. No less than 100 gold coins. Taking a shaky breath, he gathered every ounce of courage he possessed. "No, sir," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "The price is 100 gold coins." The merchant roared with laughter. 100 gold coins for this piece of gravel. "Boy, you are either a madman or a fool." He walked away, still chuckling, telling his companions about the crazy boy in the market. Each laugh felt like a physical blow to Leo. The shame was so intense, he wanted the ground to swallow him whole. He packed up and went home early, the merchant's mocking laughter ringing in his ears. That night, Leo couldn't sleep. The merchant's words replayed in his mind. But amidst the shame, a new, unfamiliar feeling began to stir. Anger. He was angry at the merchant for his cruelty, angry at the world for not seeing, and for the first time, angry at the voice in his head that so readily agreed with the merchant's assessment. Maybe, just maybe, the stone wasn't worthless simply because one person said so. The next day, Leo returned to the market with a newfound, albeit fragile, resolve. He didn't hide in the corner. He found a spot near a busier path. When people asked what he was selling, he didn't just mumble a stone. He took a deep breath and, looking at a point just past their shoulder, would say, "I am selling a very special stone." Most people still scoffed and walked away, but a few paused. Their curiosity piqued. He began to study the stone, really look at it for the first time. He noticed the subtle veins of a lighter color running through it, the way it perfectly fit in his palm, the almost velvety texture of its surface. He started thinking about its journey, how it must have traveled down a river for hundreds of years, tumbled and shaped by the water, a silent witness to the changing seasons. Days turned into weeks. Leo's presentation evolved. He was no longer just a boy with a rock. He started to tell a story. "This is no ordinary stone," he would say, his voice growing stronger and more confident with each telling. "This is a stone of resilience. It has been weathered by storms, tumbled by raging currents, and yet it has emerged smooth, solid, and whole. It holds the memory of the ancient river and the strength of the enduring earth." He learned to look people in the eye. He noticed that when he spoke with conviction, when he truly believed in the value of what he was offering, people listened. They might not buy, but they listened. They saw not a worthless rock, but an object imbued with a story, a meaning, a value that he himself had created. They saw a young man who spoke with passion and belief. Finally, on the last day of the month, a woman approached his stall. She was not a wealthy merchant, but an artiste, known for her unique sculptures. She had heard whispers in the market of the storyteller with the stone. She listened intently as Leo, now a different person from the timid boy of a month ago, told the story of the stone of resilience. His voice was clear and steady, his eyes met hers, and his posture was upright and open. When he finished, she looked at the stone, then back at him. "Your story has moved me," she said softly. "The value you speak of, I see it. Not just in the stone, but in you. You believe in it, and so you've made me believe in it." She opened her purse and counted out 100 shining gold coins onto his small table. Leo stared at the gold, his heart pounding not with fear, but with a triumphant, soaring joy he had never felt before. It wasn't about the money. It was about the validation. Had done Italiano. He had taken something worthless and, through the power of his own belief and conviction, made it valuable. He rushed back to Elara, the heavy coins clinking in a pouch, the light stone in his hand. He burst into the workshop, his face beaming. "Master, I did it! I sold the stone!" Elara looked up from her work, a proud, warm smile spreading across her face. "I knew you would, Leo," she said. "But tell me, what have you learned?" Leo looked down at the gold, and then at his own hands. No longer trembling. "I learned," he said, his voice ringing with newfound confidence, "that the stone was never the thing for sale. I was selling belief. I was selling a story. But to do that, I first had to believe in it myself." The stone's value didn't change. "Primera vez," Elara nodded, her eyes shining. "Exactly. The world will often tell you that you are just a common stone, worth nothing. It is up to you to see the resilience, the story, and the value within yourself. It is up to you to believe in your own worth so fiercely and so completely that you can stand in the middle of the market and declare your value to the world, not as a whisper, but as a statement of fact." Leo never forgot that lesson. He went on to become the most renowned stonemason in the kingdom, not just for his skill, but for the life and stories he breathed into every piece of stone. He learned that self-confidence wasn't about being perfect or never failing. It was about recognizing your own intrinsic value, even when others can't see it. It was about being the author of your own story and believing in it so deeply that the rest of the world has no choice but to start listening. The power wasn't in the stone. It had been inside him all along.